Oh, I want to tell this to Chris, the Stan Stanley. Hoagie Dom has a recipe up for hoagie rolls. And
Really?
I know you stopped baking, but
Yeah,
I
what
wanted to
happened?
ask you, let's face it, he figured out he was never that good at baking.
I'm great at baking.
Now, here's the thing, Chris. You mind if I call you Chris?
But that's fine with me, Ron.
Good. Thank you. So, I forget, you realize this is the NFL is starting this week, the National
Yes.
Football League.
Yes.
What about the gambling? What about the tips? Where's all that at?
Ron,
Where's
Locktown
Bet Bros?
is coming back this season. Do not worry about that.
But what about?
I am worried. There's a fucking game
failure of
tomorrow,
last
Chris. I want to bet big every single game of the season.
I'll give picks for every. I have a fucking tip on tomorrow night's game. If you really want to hear it.
Well,
But why
here's
wouldn't
my
I want to
question.
hear it, Chris? I'm a gambling
But
man.
but here's the thing, Ron. Are you worried at all about his terrible record from last season?
That's last year, Gail.
Thank you, Ron.
Look,
That's
there's
behind us.
Yeah. There's a old famous saying, and I believe Tony Robbins stole this from somebody. The past does not equal the future. Okay? Don't go by your past. Just keep making the same mistakes over and over and over. That's what I'm trying to say to you right now. Now, are you even, Gail, you're an Eagles fan, you and your husband, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like the fact there hasn't been any preseason and we have no idea what's going to happen?
I think it's kind of exciting. I mean, maybe my husband would disagree, but I kind of like that we're just jumping into this blind.
I love it because preseason is, what the hell was that? Was that COVID?
I don't know. It feels like it could be some sort of warning system.
Look, here's the main thing. Anybody could win this year. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even someone who wasn't even a team before. Wait, is Washington going to have a name by Sunday? Isn't that who the Eagles play first?
Yeah, they're just going to be known as the Washington Football Organization. The WFO is what they're calling themselves this year.
Okay,
And-
so that's just going to be for the whole season. I thought for some reason that they were going to reveal it before they started playing.
Can I tell you my prayer, my Catholic prayer? That they
Yes.
stay this way and they don't come up with a stupid name and they just call themselves the Washington Football Organization, and then maybe the other cities start to go, you know what? Wouldn't it be better to name them after our city?
That's kind of
That,
cool.
you
You're
know,
right.
Wouldn't it be better to be called the Baltimore Football Squad instead of the Ravens?
Yeah, it definitely would be. Plus, it feels like similar to how they have it in soccer, like in England.
Exactly
I feel like those
right.
names always sound kind of cool to me.
Better.
They sound very like neighborhood pride-ish, as
Exactly.
opposed to just made up.
Because the Los Angeles Rams makes 0 sense. Go out to Los Angeles. You're not going to see any Rams unless you're at probably the Children's Zoo. I'd rather that team was called the Los Angeles Children's Zoo. And
Penguins, perhaps?
yeah, little kids and small pets come running out before every game. Now, Stans. Well, do you mind if I call you Stans, Stanley? Is that a problem?
I'm fine with Stans. I mean, I've always wanted to get Stan Man going, but I think Stans is a good direction. So yeah, Stans is great.
Costanza. Here's the thing about Chris. He stands alone. I might even start and call him Stands Alone or Lone or maybe even just Bone as a way of,
That's cool.
Is it okay if I call him Boner? If you're
Yeah.
gonna call him Bone, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I like that too.
I might even just go with hard dick. Boner.
Yes.
Are you familiar with Sports Illustrated's Peter King? Now, the difference
yeah.
between you and Peter King is one thing. This man has made over 10,000 sports predictions and has never been wrong, even
Really?
once. Never made even the slightest mistake. He has picked, Gail, the Super Bowl. And
Wow.
he picks the Baltimore football squad in the Super Bowl to lose to the Tampa Buccaneers.
Interesting. Yeah.
You picked the same thing, Chris?
No, I don't agree with Mr. Peter King.
Who you picking? The Giants again? Giants Jets like you do every fucking year?
Danny Dimes. No, this is
you
my
picking?
pick for. This is my pick for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's going to be Chiefs Cowboys for the Super Bowl. I'm not happy with the Cowboys being there, but they're going to make it to the Super Bowl.
Look, I understand. You
I
don't
don't-
bet with your heart,
I don't
you
like
bet
that
with your head.
Thank you. I'm an analytical machine, Ron.
Jerry Jones says he wants all his players taking a knee, even during the game. He
What?
wants them running on their knees. as
I
a
got to
way
change this
of
Cowboys
saying-
pick.
Yep. Chris, it could work. So, by the way, do you know that this Super Bowl, Peter King, would be Fez Watley against Wiki? Each of them.
Oh my
Oh, wow.
God. Brother against brother.
Brother against mother. We got the $6 million man on the phone right now, Fez Watley. Here he comes. Here he comes with a burger on his bun. Fez Watley.
Hey, buddy.
Hi, kids. First of all, what kind of Giants fan would pick the Dallas Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl?
He
I just-
fucking
You disgust
loves
me,
the
boner.
Cowboys. Here's the thing about Boner.
Catch it on.
Here's the thing about Boner. He's always saying to me, how about them boys?
It's my thing. I love them. They're going all the way.
I don't even know. Did they sign their quarterback? I haven't even been paying attention.
No, not yet.
Well, it seems
That's
like
an issue.
Playing in the first game.
Cowboys are playing. They're playing the Rams on Sunday night.
Now, I want you to make this pick, Boner. You got Tampa Bay with their whole new fucking team put together, playing against the Saints, the experienced, connected Saints. Who's going to win the first game?
Saints takes the first game. They have a better running back and they have a better coach.
Fez, you're
Oh,
off to a
Boner,
disaster.
you are nuts.
How am I not?
He's
Ow.
one sick
They have-
boner.
They have the best wide receiver. The Saints have the best wide receiver in football, Michael Dobbins.
Tampa Bay has two of the best receivers from last season with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Plus, now the team is complete with Leonard Fournette.
What are you talking about? Leonard
Fournette's a
Fournette-
big. That's a big fucking get, Bones.
Look, I like that Bones is catching on, but Leonard Fournette was picked up off the fucking trash pile. All right, he was having 1,000-yard seasons in Jacksonville doing jack shit. He can't catch the ball. He's not a great pickup. He doesn't know the offense.
Who was throwing to him?
Gardner Minshew, who's also a
Thank
dick.
you. Thank you. You're not making sense. That was a giant
Fournette.
fucking pick. That was a giant pickup for Tampa. It really was.
Yeah, Fournette actually tweeted out, "Thank God I finally have a quarterback."
Wow. Now, Fez,
And
this is
I'm just
this
going to
is
tell
exciting.
Boner one word.
Yeah.
Gronk.
Yeah, that's the way he says it. He does a big gronk, like it was your
Gronk,
DVR.
Gronk. Get out of our way. Gronk, Gronk.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Gronk
He does
hasn't
it.
played the year. He's all beat
Dude,
up.
that's what I have for Fez's phone call when I just hear
Oh,
Gronk,
really?
Gronk. Like, yeah, I've recorded it. I like to have all specialty things like this. Now, Fez, this is big for you because this is the last game before you get your new heart.
Yeah, it may be the last game that I get to see. I mean, because this is lining up perfectly for me to check out on the table. The Tampa Bay Brady Nears are headed into the new season. The Tampa Bay Rays are number one team in the East. The Lightning are just dominating the playoffs. Yes. Will I live to see it? Oh no. Here comes fate with another funny joke for Fez.
Now, remember, Gail, I said I don't know what's going on in Louisiana. I tried to watch. Stacy sent this to me. Almost everything in Lake Charles, Louisiana is out 2 weeks since the hurricane. They're getting closer to getting, they say, the power back on.
Wow. I did not realize
crazy.
they were still in the dark.
Yeah. So I want the Saints to win for Lake Charles. Let's do this for Lake Charles.
No!
I like that pick, Ron. That's coming from Boner, too.
Gronk, Gronk.
All right. That's stupid. Fez.
It does sound like a horn, though.
I know it does, but not really. A horn is honk, not Gronk. Fez,
Not in this town anymore.
Are you exciting about getting your new kind of mechanical heart?
You know, it would be nice to be excited about it and think, all right, I'm going to feel better once this thing is implanted. But when they told me in the surgeon's office that we put you into cardiac arrest to test it,
Yeah.
that kind of took me back. So, no, can't say I'm looking forward to it, to the
I'll be
surgery
honest
next
with you, Fez.
Tuesday.
I didn't even know that was a thing they could do. I didn't know that was a technique.
How do they do it? How do they put you in cardiac arrest?
I think they just hold on to my heart until it stops. They just kind of squish it. I was so stunned I forgot to even ask that question. And I asked the surgeon, I said, do people die during this? Do you lose people when you do this to them? And he knocked on his desk like that, like a superstitious surgeon is comforting. He knocked on his desk and said, I've never lost anyone, and this is all I do. This is my specialty.
Well, I'm glad he got the wood elves out of his desk. That's why we knock on wood, to get the wicked wood elves to leave and not hear the things that we're talking about. But here's what I would like to see happen. I'd like to see Tampa go out and win this game and then give that ball to Fez as a way of saying we're here
Little
for
miracle
you.
boy.
Yeah, the miracle.
I would accept it. I would take that ball and try to go into surgery with a braver face.
Now, people are trying to ask me, they're like, how do you think Brady's going to do? I go, there's no fucking way to even guess. He's 43. He's 43 years old. He should not even be in the game. He should be out of the game for like 6 years. That's how long he should be done. But he hasn't really fallen off yet, you know?
Right, he's already a miracle. So anything else that happens is pure Tampa Bay magic.
Anything less than the Super Bowl is disappointing, though. You've got to win the Super Bowl. You know, yesterday, I forget even when I had on, after the show. Maybe it was the NFL channel, but they played the highlights of last year's fucking Super Bowl. And you're like, oh, yes, San Francisco could have easily won this. They had it right. I had already forgotten that they were running that fucking game in the third quarter. That's what happens when you lose. You're just fucking forgotten about. You're basically the Falcons from that point on. You're the lowly, shitty, fucked up Falcons.
It's a rough life for fans when you think of it that way. Is that at any given season, anything less than winning the Super Bowl and you're disappointed? That's brutal.
Yes. Now, if the Tampa had some young quarterback and you get deep into the playoffs, you're like, oh, I can't wait till next year. But you don't do that when you realize the following year your quarterback is going to be 44.
Yeah, that's why Tampa Bay had to move fast. The Brady Nears only have Tampa Bay for 2 years. That's all the contract is. And if COVID was going to take out half of that, that was going to be a nightmare scenario.
All right, I just saw this. Your second game is at Sturgis. And that seems like a fucking mistake, Fez.
Terrible idea.
Oh, great. I was going to try to get tickets.
Go! You should go with that new heart. It'll already be fixed.
The Sturgis story is just wild.
Well, now we found out. At least we found out that COVID comes from doing wheelies. You know what I mean? That's the big danger. You're leaning back and all the COVID is going up your nostrils. Mm-hmm. So how many people do you think the super spreaders got sick? I'll be honest, I saw the headlines, but I haven't read the story yet.
So what they're estimating right now is that this study is linking the Sturgis rally to 250,000 COVID cases, additional new COVID cases. And that they have tallied that those cases have cost something like $12.2 billion in public health costs.
Billion?
Yeah. $12.2 billion in public health costs. And then if you think about the number, 250,000 COVID cases, that would mean that the Sturgis rally caused 19% of the U.S.'s cases in the last month were just from the Sturgis rally. 19% of the new cases.
Jesus.
I was going to guess a dozen cases.
I would have thought it was a lot. If it was, if you would have said 2,000, I would have went, that's outrageous.
Right. But and, this study, people are obviously checking on these numbers and everything, but they were like saying, well, even if they're off, even if it's a quarter of that, that's a way higher number than we even thought it was. But as of right now, this study is saying it links it to more than 250,000 new cases in the last month.
I'll check the numbers because I have an old school adding machine. I don't believe in these goddamn new calculators. I think they're ridiculous.
And the cost is in the billions. That's a lot of Sturgis 2020 T-shirts to have to sell to make up for that.
Like, well, I'm sure I'm going to mess up the number, but somebody had calculated that if you would have paid these people not to come, like $12.2 billion, you could have paid each person something like $20,000 not to show up to Sturgis.
Give me $20,000. I didn't go.
Exactly.
I don't feel like hearing All-Star. Why I'm fucking packed in with a bunch of maskless people.
Yeah, and that really, I think, is if you took a look at the Sturgis rally, you weren't seeing masks. Obviously, the sheer numbers were going to be not a great situation.
If you're not going to wear a helmet,
plus no masks.
Yeah, you're not going to wear a helmet. You're not going to wear a mask. It's that fucking simple. Point. Now, Fez, Gail, you don't even know this yet, but I kind of feel like I'm Fez's consultant doctor. I do not have a degree, mainly because of jealousy, I believe, by the American school system. Now, Fez, this was very, he has the giant Santa beard going, and it's going to be Santa time.
Yes.
They want him to cut it because they feel like his hairy beard is going to get into his new chest cavity.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they feel it'll be a hindrance to healing. I was sitting in the surgeon's office yesterday, and he starts staring at me, and he gets up from his chair, and he says, "Let me get a look at you." And I'm thinking he's seeing something like where I'm maybe my face is drooping, I'm having a stroke or something. And he's looking at me, and he goes, "We're going to need to trim that beard back." Because he says, being a diabetic, he's afraid that this big hairy beard is going to get too close to the incision, just sitting on it, where they have to go in.
Oh, goodness.
Can you use a beard net?
I
Some sort of face mask for
didn't
the
ask
beard.
about that because I didn't know they existed.
Well, it's just a hairnet turned upside down. It's another one of my inventions that I'm pretty excited about. Beard net. It's good for a beard.
If only they had them at Sturgis.
That could have stopped some of the
Yes.
spread, I'm sure.
So now the beard has to go too.
Now,
So-
are you going to go fully, you're going to fully shave, or you're just going to tighten it up a little?
What's the point in just tightening it up? Then it's just going to look like a stupid beard.
Aren't you going to be virtual Santa Claus this year, though?
Well, they asked me back, and I didn't know if it was safe to be even Zoom Santa. And now we're into September. Now if I lose the beard, now we're too close to December to be able to grow it back.
I
don't know. Maybe the kids will buy a beardless Santa.
I really did. I don't think they're going to. I mean, it's a hard
I
sell with
screamed that in
Santa anyway.
Yeah, I screamed that in the surgeon's face. The kids need Santa. He didn't know what I was talking about.
Surgeon. Fuck him. I feel like I could do this operation if you would just let me. What I got to do? I just got to put a hole in your chest and then put. It looks like a clock in there, like an alarm
A clock and a 9 volt.
All right. I feel like I can do it, and I can do it by simply instinct. I don't have to study and look at fucking medical books like, I hate to say it, a sissy. Where's my book,
Especially-
Mom?
Especially if this controlled heart attack is just going to be squeezing the heart. I feel like you could just do that with your hands.
Right now, that's theory by Fez. I don't know if it's true, if that's how they stop the heart, by a good squeeze. Because it feels like you could really bruise something by squeezing the heart until it stops.
They're going to stop it one way or another. And then zap it. Then just send. So he says we need to do this so we can calibrate how much power it needs to bring it back. And I said, "Are you sure my heart is strong enough to go through this surgery to survive it?"
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he goes, "That's why we're doing the surgery,
Oh,
because your
God.
heart's not strong."
Boy.
How bad is your heart now, Fez?
It's beating. He gave me some numbers. I don't know what the exact thing is, but it's only doing half the job that a normal heart should be doing.
Like the Grinch.
And they gave me an EKG before I met with the surgeon, and the nurse looks at it and she goes, "Wow, are you feeling this?" And I'm like, "Feeling what?" And she's like, "You have a lot of extra beats in there." And I said, "I don't think you're qualified to be telling me this."
Because you're a misogynist?
No, because she's not the doctor.
Do you know that it's more difficult to get through nursing school than it is to become a doctor?
I didn't.
I hadn't heard that.
I made it up. I just thought it would be like a great
Oh.
thing to yell out. And like everybody be like, oh, Jesus, then I'm sorry. I didn't know it was more difficult. Nursing school, I
That's
believe.
why I hadn't heard it.
Yeah. I think you could become a nurse in like 2.5 weeks.
I think they just teach you how to do blood work, and then you're in. Once you can find the vein.
What kind of drugs you getting, Fez?
Let's see. They said I would be knocked out, but not completely out.
Twilight sleep, they call it now.
Yeah, exactly. They said to compare it, they said I wouldn't be out as much as I was for the open heart surgery that I had, but I would be much deeper out than when I had stents put in.
And then what do you get for recovery?
Oh, for recovery? I was told, have some ibuprofen.
Get the fuck
And
out
I'm
of
like,
here.
oh, no, you're putting a 3-inch incision in me. I'm going to need something stronger than that.
No. Holy shit! I got
I'm
this.
gonna need to go home with something more than Advil.
I got this picture of an orange sky in San Francisco. It is fucking freaky.
Is that the creepiest?
Did you see it, Gail?
I have seen people sharing images of just a sky on fire, and it is so eerie.
This sky is on fire. I think they said that right now California is having the second biggest fire in its history, and the third biggest, and the fourth biggest, at all different places.
Right. Which one is the one that was the gender reveal fire? Is that on the list? Is it even making the top 4?
Did they say whether it was a boy or a girl? Because
I know. That's the worst part. It's like, did we even get to find out?
Fez,
Can
what
this stop those officially, by the way? This can be the end of them.
Fez, what are you picking for the Super Bowl? Do you pick Tampa to go all the way and win?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Tampa Bay will be in the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay
Unbelievable.
and win it.
Has anyone ever played a home game for the Super Bowl? I don't think so.
No.
Or certainly no one's ever won doing that. But I don't even think anyone's ever done a home game. This will be historic. It'll be the first time they've ever played at home, and no fans. So
Not a single fan will see it, like it never happened. No witnesses.
And the halftime show was going to be Zoom. And they're getting together the original Zoom cast back together.
I love those kids.
I don't even know whether we ran this. The Jack Black, Tenacious D Town Hall. Chris, did we run that yet?
That runs tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Oh, because here's the thing. So when we were doing mic checks, right, me and Jack Black started to sing the Zoom theme back and forth, and we were having a lot of fun. And then he goes, send your cards and letters to Zoom, box something, New York, New York. And I started to correct him that it's Boston, and then I went, no, he's the guest. Just let him,
It's
you know
not
what
how
I mean?
you treat a guest.
But those kids actually had Boston accents.
I think about
Chris
that
is-
song a lot
yeah.
since you brought it up early on with our Zoom.
I know. Now, I saw this today. One of the fucking things, maybe it was NBC when I was watching it today. They were saying to tune in, they'll give you tips on how to be a star in Zoom meetings. I go, I don't want to fucking be a star in Zoom meetings. How's that? I don't want to be the guy who's known for being really good in the Zoom meeting.
There he is, Mr. Zoom.
Yeah, I don't need that. They'll go, you know who we should get for the Zoom meeting is Ron. He's
Also-
so much fucking fun.
You know what's depressing about that? I feel like that's similar to the guy who peaked in high school and was star quarterback. Like, one day we're not going to do Zoom meetings, and what's that going to do to your identity?
And I'll be like this. Zoom meeting, guys? All right, you all. We'll be back at work. I'll go. You all want to go home, and then we'll do a Zoom meeting later, about an hour. No, Ron, it's done. And by the way, you suck in these real life meetings. No one can stand you. Now, Gail, you told me, and I haven't had any chance to hear that. I'm out of it today. I'm not going to lie to you. That there's some kind of new Oscar thing that they're doing.
Yeah, so the Oscars made the announcement that for Best Picture, there's going to be new qualifications where that making sure that the Best Pictures are inclusive in some way. And I think that there are like 4 different possibilities of how something could, 4 different standards that they could be inclusive, and they have to meet at least 2 of these 4 standards.
Well, what are we talking about here?
So, for example, it would be, that the cast would have to have at least supporting characters who are people of color, a certain percentage of people of color who are on the actual crew, or maybe a third option would be it's actually a subject matter that involves some sort of group that is underrepresented.
So we have to have black actors and we have to have black crew. Do we have to have Asian actors?
Yeah, yes. So that's one of them. Yeah, so
could I go black or Asian, or do I have to have both in my movie?
You can go black or Asian, and I think that you can meet 2 of like 4 of these types of requirements, and I'm just giving an example of them.
All right, Chris, look it up for us. Get the details. Because I don't want to be watching a movie and go like this. There's a lot of black people in the submarine. What the fuck is going on? I don't want to be distracted from what we're doing.
Oh, I wanted to see this movie about the ancient Vikings, and there goes a black one by.
Now, here's the other thing. Do we have to have gay people there? Does it have to be a person in a wheelchair?
I think that there are certain like alternatives where, like, let's say the storyline highlights women, LGBTQ, people with physical disabilities. There's like all these different possibilities that are stopping it just from being white male movies directed or, with white male crews.
Yeah, that's the thing. Can it be directed by somebody in a wheelchair? And by the way, if I'm blind, I don't want to hear that there's somebody in a wheelchair there and then I'm feeling like, okay, that takes care of my people. I'm going to go, we're fucking completely different from them. We're fucking
And what if
blind.
Spielberg fakes a knee injury and does the whole thing from a chair?
That I hate.
He could. He definitely could.
All right, Chris, do you have the actual thing?
Yes. So beginning in 2024,
Yeah.
films hoping to qualify for Best Picture will have to meet inclusion standards both on camera and behind the scenes. To meet the on-screen representation standard, at least one...
Chris, could you just start with the important part instead
All
of
right.
everything we just discussed? Thank you.
All right, so at least one of the lead actors or a significant supporting actor must be from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. That means Asian, Hispanic, Black, Indigenous, Native American, Middle Eastern, North African, Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islander.
I mean, that's a wide berth there that gives you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, if you just see more Hawaiian people in movies, I don't think it's going to make the blacks feel any better.
And then there's an
Let's face
alternative.
it, the Hawaiians aren't even protesting. I don't feel like they shouldn't even get this at all. They have a beautiful island. All right, go ahead. What else, Chris?
And then the alternative is 30% of all actors in secondary or more minor roles could come from 2 of the following categories: women, LGBTQ, an underrepresented racial or ethnic group, or those with cognitive or physical disabilities, or the main storyline must focus on an underrepresented group.
I feel like Star Trek is going to start winning a lot of Oscars.
They've been doing
all right.
it right for a long time.
I do have.
I'll have to have a...
Go ahead, Fez.
In my Viking movie, I'll have to have a trans Viking. So instead of Thor, her name will be Thur.
All right. See, That feels like a joke to me, and you shouldn't. You should know that this isn't funny, Fez. Let me go to my Black Lives Matter person. I don't know whether he was out all night looting, but Earl, how's this make you feel?
Pal, I love it. I think this is long overdue. It's a great step in the right direction.
All right, let me just say this, though. Do you realize how many people that make movies don't set out to win an Oscar? Like, most of the movies are like, let's just make, a car movie or whatever. That's what you should probably be focusing on, not who gets the award, but who gets into the movies.
Yes, and there's plenty of people in movies doing fantastic work, but because they don't have, the big PR machine, or they're not
That's just the opposite. You have less roles. That's why you're getting less opportunities. If you got more people with roles, that would mean more opportunity.
Right. No, this is my problem with this, is that I only just believe it's, well, first of all, I think it's a little bit embarrassing because at first I heard it, I'm like, how is that going to go? And then you look at it and you go, well, these standards are pretty low. It kind of reminds me of the Bechdel test, where you go, I can't believe most of our movies can't pass that you have a female character who speaks with another female character, not about a man. Most movies do not pass this test. So
by the way,
it's crazy that the standards could be that low and still it's no.
We were, and I got people writing to us when we were putting our movie list together, where's the vagina? And I'm going, well, tell me what movie goes in there. You know what I mean?
Right.
What is one of the great movies of all time, written or directed or even starring a woman? And then they brought up Nora Ephron. And I'm sorry, I love Nora Ephron. Those are fun movies, but you're not really going to compare them with the best movies ever made.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And that's really the issue is of underrepresentation, is that it's not the same quantity of films that we're dealing with. So therefore, like, I think of all the ones that we mentioned on our list, I think I threw out Do the Right Thing, which would probably be the only one that not only had a black cast, but a black director. And I don't think anyone threw out any movies directed by women. And probably only Fargo, where I would say the lead was a female. I mean, to me, it's a conversation about Hollywood and less about awards, right? Like, it's almost like 100%. Cart before the horse.
Yeah, exactly right. It would be much better if you got more movies than if you gave out more awards.
Yes.
Because how many times do we think to ourselves, like Earl's point, that person should have won an award? Because most of the time, you forget about a lot of these people who won, Best Supporting or whatever, because they're not really all that great.
Right.
And it doesn't even help the box office.
And to be honest, I feel like something about these standards are going to lead us to more, I don't know, Crash and Green Book, but that's not necessarily a great film.
Right.
And I don't think that that's not necessarily giving a proper representation.
Yeah.
I don't want tokenism either.
Right. Now, if you even take when they gave the movie to Moonlight, even after they fucked that up, that movie, it's a very sad movie. It's a movie that needed to be seen, but it's not going to be, in the top 100 movies of all time, and won an Oscar. And Crash, people have now decided, oh my God, that's stupid. That's as stupid as Ron thought the day he went to see it.
Right.
Everybody is now admitting it.
Yeah.
And you don't want that to be your awards. Oh, of course, look what they did.
Right, and that's what people do to that kind of stuff. And it's similar, like, when we talk about it in politics, where we start using this thing of, like, identity politics. And that's like, well, how come we never called it identity politics when it was always white men? That was the identity. And the same thing is for Hollywood. I think you see people complain, I feel like, now we have to have equal representation. But when you didn't see it before because you treated that as normal. Just seeing 99% of everything stories about white men.
Justin Stengel just texted me. Now every movie will star The Rock because he's got like 5 categories. They'll be like, all right, Rock, also move a boom mic too, so that way we're covered.
Why not just make a separate Oscar category for this? Most integrated film.
Oh, I would love to see that. This year's most integrated films are The Rock, starring in I Just Jumped Out of a Helicopter. Earl, you're getting hoodwinked with this. I'm going to tell you right now.
I mean, I'm looking at it. Well, it's 4 years down the road, but now you're seeing a lot of black production companies starting to spring up. More black films are being made now, and I mean, I don't know about now with COVID, but I think starting this 4 years from now, which is I think very important also, because now you get to see these production companies get off the ground, get their films made, get distribution, proper distribution.
I mean, to me, that's a bigger issue is that I feel like the Academy doesn't watch all the movies. You know, I mean, I think more than anything, it's kind of embarrassing that they have to have these standards for themselves because you're like, do you really have to police yourselves because you have not been watching a diverse group of films? I mean, that's kind of embarrassing.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, for every, let's say, Moonlight, there's, you know, a bunch of those rom-com now that are some kind of upper class black people having, you know, white people problems. And then Tyler Perry. That's the kind of weird things. And now black people are starting to make a lot of horror films, which actually there's more money in than anything.
Yeah, you look at how many doors Jordan Peele has opened, how many doors Ava DuVernay has opened, where she's basically bringing in this whole wave of female directors, women directors. So
what are we talking about, Earl? I'm not familiar. What are we talking about?
Ava DuVernay, she made Selma. She made there's a show, Queen Sugar on OWN, which is absolutely fantastic. She did the Central Park 5 series on Netflix. She's one of the best working directors, in my opinion, the best working director today. And she's also nurturing, like, she developed this series, Queen Sugar, where every episode is directed by a woman, so they can basically learn craft and learn and grow as an artist.
And
grow as
who's the director that you're talking about?
Ava DuVernay.
Yeah, I know that like Dee Rees was I think she directed Mudbound, where they were like she was on that snub list where they like there were all these female directors that year, and they're like, wow, you know, for all your talk of diversity, you guys haven't put, you know, any attention on female directors, and certainly not women of color.
Now, let me ask this, Fez, have you seen any of these movies?
I've never heard of any of these movies.
See, that's the problem.
Right, and that's why it's cart before the horse, because it's like I feel like we don't, that it's a Hollywood problem first and foremost, and then you come around to going, is it also an award problem? And you know, that's less important.
Well, here's the thing. So this would have been smarter to say the studios have to do this, not the Oscars, and then you would have had a lot more people working. Because I'm telling you, the percentage of movies who are even thinking Oscars is tiny.
Yeah.
I just watched the new Pauly Shore movie, Guest House, and I have a feeling that they never once brought up the name Oscar when putting this together. You know what I mean? And that's probably 97% of the movies. So we're just making something fun.
Right.
Or something to entertain people. And then occasionally you have these people who think we could have an Oscar-winning movie.
Right. Yeah, but look how many films that come out throughout the year that everyone says, wow, that's a fantastic... But because it didn't come out during Oscar season, kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Like
very rare.
Going to move.
It's a very rare thing, Earl. It is.
But look at Get Out. Get Out won the Oscar for, I believe, Best Original Screenplay. That was a February movie. And because it was so massive and so successful, Black Panther was a February movie.
I know, but can we be honest here, Earl? How many people were even acting like, oh, this would be great, we could have a black movie in this? That's why Black Panther went up there. They'll go, we'll get a lot of black people enjoying this television show called the Oscars.
And both of those February releases were during Black History Month, Earl.
Yeah, but it used to be that January and February was the graveyard for any movie. That was just like, let's throw all the junk out there.
But this is before Netflix, where you just release it for a couple of weeks and then put it on Netflix. You're going to get a lot more eyeballs that way. The thing that you're bringing back up, Earl, is the old system.
Yes, and I think that with this rollout, and again, I think 4 years is a long time. They could easily modify it in the next 4 years. But I think just to recognize it at all is a major step.
All right.
I guess, here's the thing. I kind of agree with you, Earl, but what I think is, these standards seem so... To me, the standards are actually pretty low. I think that they'll probably be perceived as shackling in some way. But also, by the way, we're just talking about Best Picture. I just kind of feel like it seems embarrassing that you have to police yourselves this way. And then on top of it, does it really solve the problem of not enough films being made by people of color who are actually in the director's chair, who are actually the writers and telling stories that don't get told? I don't know if it solves that. It might solve Oscar So White slightly, but I really don't think it does.
Here's the thing. Think of it this way in terms of stand-up, right? Is it more important to get minority comics in stand-up clubs or to have them win an award at the end of the year? You know what I mean? Because most comics... the vast majority of comics have never been nominated for anything, but they're working people.
And, I think also... there's a larger thing that goes into this where it's visibility of people, yes, and studios not giving a shot to, people that they're not used to dealing with, sure. But when you're using the comedy analogy, it makes me think about how many female comics have told me that people come up to them and say, oh, actually, I didn't think I liked female comics, but you were funny. So there's also just this perception of let's say, what's a chick flick? People think of it as a certain way, our audiences even have to be retrained.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, most of the studios are only thinking about making money. And they don't even think that winning an Oscar adds cash like they did in the, let's say, the 70s when a movie could stay in a theater for a year or two.
Right.
Earl, me and you are going to fix this, and we're going to give them a whole separate plan. And it's going to be 10 times better. And I'm going to do the operation on Fez. It's time I stood up, you know what I mean? And took a little responsibility, showed a little citizenship.
Fez, you trust him?
Yeah, just study on the operation first before you fix the film industry.
Well, I kind of feel like I can do this, and I can do it all. And I can do it well. That's the beauty of it.
You just need confidence.
Of course I need confidence. And I don't get it because Oscar doesn't feel like doing a daily radio show matters. Maybe we should riot outside of theirs. Tear down the Hollywood sign. We tear down the Hollywood sign and people are going to start fucking paying attention to us. So Fez, you give me the first break and let me operate on you. And if they don't think I could do it, I'll David Blaine this shit. I'll do it blindfolded. and do a perfect fake heart in your chest. Perfectly done.
Oh, I think they'll trust you, and the blindfold won't be necessary.
No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get the vaccine finished, and I'm going to start a band. I am going to be the Buckaroo Banzai of 2020. I'm going to get all this shit done. And guess what else? Fall in love. Perfect.
Well, I already have the dish soap and lemon set aside for you, so we know you're ready to work on the vaccine.
This is dish soap? I've been soaking in it. See what I did there, Fez? I did a little fucking
Madge.
callback for you. Yes, I did the old Madge bit. All right, we got to get rid of Fez and bring in Cashmere. Out with the old, in with the new, I like to say.
I love Dish.
Do you really? You're a fan?
Oh, yeah. I consider myself a gossip follower, and I hear things on Dish that I didn't even know.
I know. I never know. I never know any of the references.
We usually learn something every week.